It's been 5 minutes since the last time I saw you, so just saying, putting out there. Not a
I'm
minute.
here. How you doing?
I'm okay. So, Rotus, let's pick up the conversation from where we left it off. You set the tone so high yesterday, people were looking forward to this discussion. So I'd like us to backtrack to the Naira first falling and then how to shore up our reserves so we can get out of this. Take us from there, then we get into the gesture of security that is turning out to be something the governor didn't see coming.
Yeah, so I mean, at this point, we're at about 9:30 now. It's about 9:30. Well, yesterday we were talking about 895 or 900. In a day, thing has dropped to 9:30. Yeah, and essentially, it's a supply issue. We have people wanting to, I guess, well, summer is almost over, but people traveling for summer, school fees are going to be due very soon. So the demand for dollars is just really high, and you are seeing it playing out. And so, well, I don't know, maybe by Monday or if not the end of today, well, maybe not the end of today, maybe by sometime next week, unless the CBN sells a whole bunch of dollars into the markets, might be touching 1,000. So the demand they just need to fix the supply issue. That's what we're facing right now. It's tough.
I'll go to Fisayo in a bit, but I need the listener to know they can be part of the conversation this morning on 0809-444-0981. Send us those WhatsApp messages that gets the conversation heated in some places. Fisayo,
yeah,
I come to you now. Now, it seems the Naira is in intensive care as we speak. Intensive care with the doctors running around and life support and everything, trying to make sure we don't go across the 1,000 Naira mark. This administration in floating the Naira or unifying the rates, but it seemed like all they've done so far hasn't yielded any results. Why so?
It's simple. If you want to reform, you reform. If you're not reforming, leave it as it is. And I think that's the problem with this administration, because we've been, economists have been saying these things for some time. Let the Naira float, right? Let the market determine the rate. But the CBN showed up, not introduced, but essentially, canceled the demand management that was been doing before, that they've been doing before, and essentially letting the market determine in the I&E window, as it were. However, it still restricted some 41 items from that I&E window, right? That's totally irresponsible. Like, if you want the market to determine the rate, let the market determine the rate. Let everyone have access to dollars at the same market set rate. But still says that, okay, 41 items do not have access. So it means that this 41 items still have to source their dollars from outside the I&E window. So essentially ensuring that the rates, in the parallel market is different from the rates, in the I&E window, as it were. That's number one. Number two is that when you decide to float the Naira, that's one step, right? There are then other, supporting steps that would ensure, like what you said, a supply issue to help address the supply issue, which is more like a wholesale economic or business type reform that ensures that people have more confidence in the government, people have more confidence in the Nigerian market, as it were, and want to bring in dollars to invest in the country, or even as a portfolio investment, or even FDI, as it were. We're not seeing all of those. I mean, we see, and I think like it's an hallmark of this, again, the administration is still very young, but we've seen similar things in the oil and gas sector where, subsidy was removed, and that's the only thing the government did. I mean, again, that's not the idea of deregulation. It's not just about removing subsidy and letting every other thing remain the same. It's about a wholesale reform in this sector, allowing, not like you remove subsidy and then give one person import license. No, that's not how it works. You remove subsidy and make it, deregulated, let it be free for all, ensure that, yes, the quality of product that I can import is the same that any other person can import. So it means that if I get my product cheaper, I sell cheaper compared to any other person. That's how these things work. And that's how, competition drive down price. But if you don't do all of those things, you're in intensive care, but your doctors are just playing. And that's where the problem really is.
Well, it seemed like the doctors will go for a golf session, but then that's what it seemed, what I get from what you're trying to say. But Rotus, there's this man who lives abroad, but it seemed like he's been breathing down the neck of two administrations now from the Buhari. At a point in time, he termed himself the chief tormentor of President Buhari, now gone. But we saw his tweet yesterday. Could you tell us, and it's Naira related, so walk us through that, and then let's go to Abia State.
Yeah, I mean, Abia is linked. It's Reno Omokri, who I don't like talking much about. But he basically said that the Naira is plunging because we are supporting telcos, that foreign telcos, and we should patronize only local telco companies. Then he also says we should all drive made in Nigeria cars, which is where the Abia State governor comes in, because his security operation, he went and picked up
Operation Crush.
Operation Crush, instead of going for Nord or Innocent, which are made in Nigeria cars. But I'll ask people on Twitter, I was like, how many of you drive Innocent cars? And no one, no one. I don't know if you or Fisayo drive Innocent, but the thing, that's where we are. So I think we because people brought up issues of spare parts, they brought up issues of the cost, no second-hand cars, no used vehicles, and so on and so forth. So it's the getting to that made in Nigeria where everybody's paid. And look, it's the same thing. This Naira matter. I love my foreign products. I'm not going to lie. I mean, where I can get made in Nigeria items, I will. But everybody has a right to buy what they want, whether it's local or overseas. So just tie anything with the cars. If we all really want to be about that made in Nigeria life, then we can go there and live it out. But until that time, it's an import dependent country.
Now, on that note, I go down to Fisayo once again. In our conversation yesterday, it was agreed that much as we would like foreign direct investment, which you have also touched on earlier on, it seemed for people to come and invest in your economy, they want to see what exactly you that is asking for, what are you are not even investing in yours. So that links us to this gesture currently by the Abia State governor. You had gone to buy security vehicles and you were going, but then you have a local substitute, just like Rotus has. If there was the absence of it, imagine what that amount of vehicle would have done to the line of local vehicle producers out here or assembling plants here. Walk us through that one.
I mean, it is what it is, right? So the governor had to make a decision, whether to buy, again, I think my problem with this is not, it's some of this hand waving thing, during this inauguration, it was in an innocent car, and people were praising him at the time, right? Like, oh, okay, the governor of Abia State is supporting, local car manufacturing by using innocent vehicle during his own inauguration, only for him to turn around just a couple of days afterwards to buy, all these, I think it's Toyota vehicles that he bought eventually. But again, that's not, but linking that specifically to say, you're not buying the Naira, you're not buying locally made products. And in fact, if I think about even Innocent, right, many of the components that is used in its own manufacturing are going to be probably imported because, again, from a steel manufacturing perspective, I don't think we have any for vehicles. So again, you import, say, completely knocked down, parts, or semi-knocked down, and then you assemble them in Nigeria and call that local manufacturing. Well, it's more or less local assembly, right, rather than local manufacturing, as it were, right? So because we're not necessarily even the plastics around the car, anything around the car, I'm not sure any of them are actually made, in this factory. It's just probably an assembly plant. Again, I'll defer to Rotus that to confirm. But my point is that even the argument for buying innocent vehicle is still, buying imported things that are assembled locally in Nigeria. Like you're buying a laptop that is HP, that is assembled in China. Again, HP is an American company assembled in China and then sold to, and then so you're buying from China, saying that you're buying China. No, you're not necessarily buying Chinese, as it were. So that, I need to, put that out there. And of course, regarding foreign direct investment, I think that foreign investors don't necessarily care because no country is an island, right? Every country has this trade balance or imbalance with other countries, right? So it means that every country depends on some other country for something, even if it's raw material or finished goods, right? Even the US imports stuff, China imports stuff from different places, right? So, no, I don't think investors really care about whether you're buying from your local currency. The most important thing is that if I put in my money in this country, would I make money back? Investors are driven with returns rather than the emotions of whether you're buying your locally made goods or not. If I put in my money here, would I make money? If I don't make money, then I'm not putting my money in. If I put in my money here, would I be trapped? If I put my money, would I have to repatriate my money when I want to get out? Is there political stability around the country that will ensure that, yes, even if I put my money now, the country is not going to tear to pieces through civil war or any other thing? Those are the things that investors look out for specifically. To put in their money in the country.
Okay, thank you so much, Fisayo. But the next thing again, Rotus, remember, if we touched on oil yesterday and said oil, we are not even exporting as much as we can to bring in the needed forex at this time to stabilize the price of the naira. But then we also touched on the human capital development, which is Nigeria's biggest resource that is yet to be tapped. Let's look at the number of Nigerians in diaspora who most times they would crave local foods. Why have we not been able to explore this properly to begin to send this and then export this local food out there? It seems we're just scratching the surface of it. Rotus.
Yeah, Omas, we need to get beyond food, though. I mean, I know the food is popular, and in fact, they even started copying us. In China, they are selling, is it gari or okra? What is it? This packaged stuff. Yes. We have to sell. We have to sell stuff like we have to sell. Look at cocoa and chocolates. Ghana and Ivory Coast lead the world in cocoa exports, right? But neither of them are part of the chocolate industry is about $160 billion, right? They are shut out of that market. It's Switzerland, UK, all these other countries that are making all that money. They are taking our raw materials and making finished goods that they are reaping funds from. So we need to get there. And to get there, you've got to look at, $160 billion. That $160 billion is how much Apple has in total in cash that is sitting on. That's a company that is making mobile phones. Samsung and Apple lead that market. So look, if Nigeria wants, you have to have a diversified economy. The Russians have oil. The Russians have, wheat. But the Russians also they made Ajaokuta plants for us, and they hold the keys to whether that plant will ever work. So you got to diversify, or you've got to be able to you have to be ahead in technology, ahead in value-added goods, not just raw materials. That's why Nigeria needs to make that leap.
Well, some questions are here for us as we close up the conversation this morning. Pouring in already, I see Fisayo. The question is are those 41 items, can they be gotten locally, or is there a local alternative? If yes, then they should remain banned. I think the solution with us exporting more crude or mass, we say we export food, but the government have no idea. Go to NACO, Ikeja, and see for yourself. They're saying that. So you see revenue just slipping by the hands of the government without even knowing that. Then what else? I see Inka Bolu. So okay, send that message. I see Rahman Oyebanji from Yaba. Good morning, Smooth FM. Until we fix the Ajaokuta steel complex, technological development will still be a mirage. Raw materials are sourced abroad, and that will definitely impact our balance of payment. All in all, it is still patronize our local manufacturers to start the journey. So they say the journey of 1,000 miles will do what? Starts with a step. Benito now finally comes up with this one. Hi, Smooth FM. We have to scale up the market internationally of Nigeria and Africa burger, agege bread, and ewa going in Canada, Sweden, and the USA. That's putting it mildly, guys.
I like that. Ewa going in Sweden. I like that.
That's how far we can go this morning. I want to say thank you to Fisayo Durojiaye for your time this morning.
Thank you for having me.
Rotus Oddiri, thank you so much for all you do. Have a great day.
Thank you. Thanks, Fisayo. Thanks for joining. Thanks for all the messages you passed. Thank you.
Yeah. And that's a wrap on Business Express on Smooth 98.1 FM. My name is Omatseye. Good morning.
Express. Interest rate. Transactions.